the Black Forest Trail, 42-mile loop, north central Pennsylvania. I'm digging it. We're kicking it classic style. Solo backpacking, high mileage, good views. I can't complain about that. Looking at my map, it says I'm way off the trail. I feel like I'm on a trail, but I don't know. Good morning, everybody. Syntax 77 here, out for an adventure. Feeling pretty good. It's a little overcast, but let me tell you the situation right now. I am about to do, finally, the Black Forest Trail. It is a roughly 42-mile loop up here in, I'd call it north central Pennsylvania. And I've been trying to get up here for a while. I got my guidebook with me, my map. The guidebook is actually the 2015 edition, so it's a few years old, but I'm pretty sure that the trail hasn't changed too much since then, or at all. But I'm looking forward to it. I got my pack on here, just a little 21-liter pack. I do have a separate video that goes along with this one where I go over all the gear in the pack, but you can check that out if you want. Up there in the corner, the little I button. But basically, what I wanted to do to challenge myself was create a gear loadout that would fit in my 21-liter pack. Something small, say the size of a regular backpack. In my case, it's a GoRuck GR1 military kind of style pack, so it's actually quite heavy at 3 pounds. You could probably get it done with something lighter, but because it's so small, the cool thing about this trip is my whole loadout, I think it's my lightest one yet, is under 9 pounds. Pretty close, 8.88 or something like that. It's all in the gear list. But yeah, let's call it 9 pounds. If you used a lighter, less rugged pack, using this gear list, you could probably do 8 pounds easily. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. With food and water, I'm like 13.5 pounds, which is pretty cool, in my opinion. I'm happy about that. It feels good. On the front here, I have this front pack, but that's just my camera gear, all of that in there. So not really counting that. But here we are right now, actually, as I'm running my mouth. The trailhead is right in front of me, I do believe. We parked on the other side of the bridge back there, the one you just saw, that goes over Pine Creek, which runs through the Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania, as they call it. Speaking of water, I can hear it rushing now. And here's the little trailhead welcome sign. Black Forest Trail, Tiadaghton State Forest. This actually isn't very far at all from the cabin that we go to in our cabin trips on my dad's channel as well as myself's. So that's pretty cool, but I won't be going to the cabin. I'll be sleeping outside. Rules and regulations right there. Speaking of rules and regulations, you'll notice if you look at the gear video that goes along with this that I was talking about, it's called the Stealth Backpacking Gear List. As I pointed out in that video, by stealth backpacking, I mean minimal impact in terms of visual and environmental impact. Not illegal camping. That's not what I'm out here to do. I'm very legal, no permit needed, and you can camp anywhere in here you want. Feels good. It's cool out, especially as I start heating up, because there is about 8 going on 9,000 feet of elevation gain total for this trip. I will be out here 3 days, which is about the low end of what you would want to do this trail in. So 2 nights, 3 days, starting with today, and we're starting to pick up some uphill right now. The temperature range out here, speaking of the weather, is about 10 degrees cooler for the highs and lows than I kind of anticipated for the loadout I have. But I wanted to stay true to that gear list. I said I'm going to come out with the exact same gear, and I am. So I don't have any like down jacket or anything like that. My sleeping situation is a hammock. I got under and top quilts that are rated to 30 degrees for the bottom quilt and 40 for the top. So that's not a problem. The lows could crack into the upper, let me make sure I know where I'm going here. The lows might go into the upper 40s. I was originally anticipating going down south and getting temps in the range of a low of, say, upper to mid 50s. That's okay though, we should be good. It just so happened that I said, you know what? I'm finally gonna come up here and do this. The weather looked good. It is a slight threat of rain today. I don't have any rain gear. I went over that in my video as well. But in warmer weather, I find I just tend to sweat when I'm hiking in rain gear anyway, so I got all synthetic stuff on. I should be fine. If I get a little wet by the time I get to camp, I should be dry. I'm trying to do around 15 miles a day. Whew. Here we go. Let the uphill begin. When you look at an elevation profile, which I have on my little map that I got for this trail, it does dip up and down at several points. Basically bounces between 1,000 feet and 2,000 feet. So we're starting around 1,000, going up to 2,000, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. So, getting the blood flowing right away, that is for sure. There's an orange blaze, so that's a good sign. That is the blaze color for the Black Forest Trail, which is a loop. So we have a choice right now. We can go left over there, or we can go right this way, counterclockwise basically. So that's what I'll be doing. There's my guidebook, nice and small, but it goes mile by mile through the trail and gives a lot of good information too. I picked this up for like 12 bucks online. I'll put a link for it in the video description. It's really handy, and it's got the map folded up in there too. You can just barely see it through the trees. Down there is the water. We're quickly getting away from Pine Creek, that is for sure. Good old Pennsylvania. Tons of loose rock on the trail, lots of slate, etc. Seem to be popping out on an old logging road of sorts here. I'm sure I'm going to get my butt kicked later, but so far, after that first initial push, it's been pretty mild, which is nice. Like I said, it's not going to stay that way, but it's welcome. I'll take it while I can get it. Some interesting formations around here too. Little rock walls. Don't know what's going on there. And up here, this is off the path, but let's just take a look. See what's going on. It's like a rock garden back here. It's crazy. Got some really big, obviously natural structures back there through the trees. And then somebody with a lot of time on their hands did this. Very interesting. I don't know what's going on there. Huh. I don't know. Kind of cool. I guess I should get back towards the trail though. Oh, carefully. It's nice to have a light, small pack on, but I don't want to get too overconfident. Back to the trail. And actually, if I keep going, here's the trail down there. If I keep going over here, I think we got our first little view off the ridge, if you will. Wow, this is nice and open. The air feels good. As you can see, I do have those dark clouds over there. Hopefully I don't get rained on. But I think I might get away with it. Very nice. Not bad at all. Alright, this time we really will get back on the trail. Look at that. I'm digging the vibe. Definitely pretty neat. Didn't go too much further. Less than a mile actually. Opens back up again. Pretty cool area. Oh wow. Not bad at all back there. Chipmunks are definitely out, that's for sure. I mentioned earlier that there's a bird's nest. Poor bird's nest fell right on the trail. That's unfortunate. Sorry, buddy. Step around that. Anyway, I mentioned earlier that this is close to Wellsboro, which is where the cabin is that we go to and have done videos at. Plenty of chipmunks up there this year too. A ton. I would say the most chipmunks we've had, we go every spring. It's probably the most we've had in a couple of years. And they're still out, that's for sure. I just got done humping it up. A pretty good burst of elevation, but get a little reprieve right now, as you can see. So no downhill yet, just a burst of uphill and a section like this and back and forth like that for a little bit now. We're up to around 2.5 miles and it's around 11:30. I got up at 4 a.m. this morning to drive here. Made a couple stops. I went to Wolfe's General Store, which is right by the parking lot where I parked by the bridge. If you need any last minute stuff, maps, souvenir hoodie, snacks, I picked up some nuts in there. It's a good place to go. But next thing you know, it was going on 10 o'clock. Got myself together and on the trail, and now it's going on 11:30. That's all right. Sunset isn't until 8:30ish, something like that. I'm not planning on doing a lot of like hanging out at camp. Not gonna have a fire, so pretty much just hiking all day. Like I said, 15 miles per day roughly. I got some campsites based on the little booklet I showed you, this guy, and I just kind of corresponded that map to the map on my Garmin Basecamp software and made some waypoints for some campsites that are described in here, water sources, stuff like that. So if I can make it to 15-ish miles, it should be a nice campsite, a couple opportunities along with a water source, which is great. As you may have seen on my pack, I only have one single 1-liter bottle. It's usually not super advisable. I'd say have more ability to carry water than that, but I've found over the years that with a trip like this, with the water sources I'm expecting, I should be able to pull that off. So I'll just make sure to keep hydrating. If I get to a stream, I'll refill. I got my SteriPen. I'll dip it in there, sterilize it, purify it, whatever you want to call it, and keep on moving. And then when I get to camp, I'll have a water source. Whoa, almost stepped on a chipmunk there. I'll have a water source right there by camp, which is great. But we got a lot more hiking to do before that, right? Well, we finally got up to around 2,000 feet after a little over 3 miles. And we're almost instantly heading down now. Well, I guess not instantly. We were on that flat patch back there for a little bit, right? But it's heading back down. And I did have some sun back there, right back up that way. And I did make sure to be careful when that occurred, because these are some rocky trails. Mix that with sun and the fact that there are for sure rattlesnakes around here. There's apparently a pretty decent population of, I believe, eastern timber rattlers. So they like the sun on rocks. You want to watch out for that around here. At least I will be. I know trail reports I've read of people definitely seeing them, and even saw some pictures that people took of them on the trail. So when you actually see a picture of something, it kind of resonates a little more with you. So I got that on the mind. Not too much, not to a debilitating extent, but I'm definitely aware of it when I see these sunny patches here and there, because it is overcast today. And I'm sure those spots of sun are a valuable little treat for my slithery friends. Anyway, moving along, switching the muscle group to the downhill mode, I suppose. Beautiful area though. Well, what do you know? Got our first intersection and first sign. So we came from Slate Run Road by Wolfe's General Store, so that's 3.6 miles ago. Sounds about right. Matches up with my GPS that I have running, which, by the way, I will be posting all the GPS data for this. I have a track recording, and I'll put up waypoints and where I camp and all that stuff. I'll put it on my website. Link in the video description if you're interested. But anyway, that's the Algerine Trail, Gamble Run Road. But we're not going to do that because we got a double blaze, which means turn And we're going to turn this way because I bet you this says Black Forest Trail and Francis Run Road, 4.6 miles. There are a lot of access points along the way on this 42-mile loop. I should also point out you don't have to do the 42 miles at all. I mean, I'm planning to do it, but honestly, even if things went awry, there's a pretty good network of trails in here, and you can create all kinds of smaller loops. Anywhere from, I don't know the smallest amount, but I've seen people come up here and just do like 17 from that same spot or from these other spots as well. So there are plenty of options if you don't want to do the full loop, if you want to make it a little more laid back, or you don't have 3 days or 4 days. A lot of people do it in 4 days, but I'm going to give it a shot. We're gonna give it a go, see what we can do. Been pretty level for the last 1.5 miles or so, but finally starting to dip down again, and I do believe I see another view. Not bad. Got a bird friend back here making it lively. That's another cool view down there. That's real cool. You can hear the water rushing down in there. Clouds are moving away pretty quickly too. Alright, guess we keep moving. We're pushing up on 6 miles now. Feeling pretty good, hanging in there. Had a little snack, some nuts, drinking some water. Probably about a third of my liter is left, so next opportunity to get water I will grab some. I want to stay hydrated, that's for sure. And this cool weather, it's like barely 60 degrees. Actually, let me tell you, it's 57 right now. So this whole trip is definitely colder than it would have been, or my intentions I should say, if I had gone down south. And I did mention earlier I don't have rain gear. If it's going into the high 40s, I wouldn't normally recommend that, but I think I'll be okay, and I wanted to stick to the gear list. Besides, there's not a whole lot that I could really fit volume-wise in this pack at this point. But I just wanted to have fun and see what I could jam in this thing. And it certainly had the added benefit of forcing me to not bring much, which was pretty cool. It'll probably affect the way that I pack for future trips as well, even when I have a larger pack. Although once you have that larger pack, you know, the saying is, if you got the space, you'll fill it. But I'll try to use what I've learned on this trip when I go back to using a regular backpacking pack, if you will, on future trips. All right, what are we doing here? It says to turn, but it's more like a bend, I guess. We'll go up here. Navigate the rocks. I will also mention hearing raindrops and feeling a couple for the first time. So we'll see how this pans out. That was a nice campsite too. I will, I'll throw this one on. I've been occasionally, when you go to my GPS data, if you do, throwing down waypoints as I come across campsites, but it's definitely not all of them. There's a lot. It's really not a problem to find a campsite around here, from what I found, but that's why I really suggest just get that map for 12 bucks and compare it to your GPS. You can pretty much figure out where you are or where the campsites are. There's a bunch of them, but anyway, time to deal with the rain, I suppose. All right, so about 7.5 miles in, this is my first legitimate, actually my first at all, water crossing. Well, I haven't crossed it yet, but I'm close to it, and according to the map, I do cross it. But first opportunity to get water, I should say, which is good. I had a little bit left. I just finished it off, filled this up, and because I'm going on such a low volume kind of packing for this trip, I got my Pen Ultralight, 2.5 ounces, super small and compact. I've showed this before and on the gear video as well, so I'll be using this. Some people have expressed concern about, you know, I dipped in the water over there. What about the contaminated water on the top there? First of all, let me get the level down a little bit. Very simple. From what I read directly from the manufacturer as well as other sources that I've checked, the amount on the lip there is not enough to get you sick, but nonetheless, I don't blame you. I don't trust it either. So they suggest, very simple, just wipe off the top. I got this cloth here. It's like a paper towel, but more resilient. I could also use this to pour the water through to kind of pre-filter any debris out, but the water around here is really nice in terms of clearness. So I just dry the top everywhere that my mouth would come in contact there. The whole bottle, actually. And take my Pen, take the lid off. No buttons on this guy. I just dunk it in. It senses the water and starts blinking green. Pretty simple. Now I just sit here and let that sit for 90 seconds while I hang out instead of squeezing or pumping. Just enjoy the surroundings, take a look around, which I have a tendency to neglect when I'm moving at this pace. I slowed down a bit. You can see the slope I came from behind me there, pretty rocky. Definitely my miles per hour dropped. But luckily, earlier on those flat spots, I've been trying to make a good pace. And I've been doing about 2.5 mile per hour pace on those flat sections without even really putting a lot of effort into it, so that's nice. And that'll kind of make up for slowing down right now. But for 15 or 16 miles, I'm about halfway. And the time right now is, remember to keep stirring this, that's what you're supposed to do as well. It is 2 o'clock, just about. So I have 6.5 hours of sunlight left, something like that. Although the sun's coming out now, and I didn't get rained on, which is cool, yet at least. But when it was overcast, combined with how dense this forest is, it can get dark in here. It's pretty beautiful. Pretty beautiful indeed. Alright, well, I'm going to continue sterilizing. Oh, actually, I ran my mouth for 90 seconds apparently. It just turned solid green, so it is done. Wow, that's some nice, cool mountain water. Love it. I'm going to get hydrated and get back on the trail here. See if I can't get to camp. Which, by the way, some of you who watched my gear video, which is called Stealth Backpacking Gear List video, which, like I said, is not about illegal camping. I just wanted to have fun doing a loadout that you look like just a day hiker, or in my case, maybe a photographer if I have a tripod or something with me. But when you get to a spot that looks campable, you camp. And some of you might be saying, you keep talking about all these campsites on an actual map, and that doesn't sound like stealth camping. Well, again, I'm not doing anything illegal, so it doesn't matter, and there's tons of good ones around here. But I'm basically using the map to look for reliable water sources, and these are basically, they're not official campsites. You don't have to register anything around here or anything like that. They're just areas that are good for camping and people tend to go to. I would imagine there's probably going to be a fire pit or something when I get there, but I will, if possible, based on the terrain, I'm going to try to find my own little spot tucked back somewhere and just kind of hunker down, low impact for the night. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going to hydrate and keep on moving on. Well, it looks like we're in the Algerine Wild area, part of the Tiadaghton State Forest. I did a my first water crossing, like I mentioned, maybe a quarter mile ago. And it looks like we might have another one here. I managed not to get my feet dry, or pardon me, I managed not to get my feet wet on the last one, but let's see what's going on here. Unless the trail goes along it. Oh, nice. Got ourselves a bridge. Very cool. We also have some waterfalls. Beautiful. All right, let's take ourselves a bridge. Keep our feet dry. Good old orange blaze. It is well blazed, by the way, if you were wondering if you're going to do this trail. They have them quite often, which is nice. All right, let's get back to some uphill. It's been flat for a little bit, so I think it's going to be payback time. Before I get to my camp area tonight, there's going to be one more pretty major push. 1,000 foot of elevation gain. So basically, at some point, we'll be back down. Uh-oh. Am I supposed to be here? Yeah, I guess so. I'm on another forest road. Okay, looks like up here is the way to go. What was I saying? Whew. Still getting a little tired, even with only 13-ish pounds on my back. Oh, yeah, I think we're going to get back down to 1,000 feet. And that looks like a pretty severe recollection, if you will, of those 1,000 feet that we gave up, back up to 2,000 feet. And around there is going to be where I hope to find camp. But there is still a stream crossing up there, so that's where we're going to get water. This is some really flat ground here.
It is well blazed, by the way, if you were wondering.
Ironically, because I just said how well the place is blazed, and then I lost the trail. I mean, I'm on some sort of herd path. I was on that fire road. It came to a bridge. It's right down that way. There was an orange blaze leading me down, and one more orange blaze on the other side of the river, creek. I didn't feel like getting my feet wet, so I took the bridge over. I came around, no more orange blazes. I know there was a reroute because I saw a sign that said reroute back there, and I know I read there was a reroute due to some weather back in, I think, 2011. And that makes sense because looking at my map, it says I'm way off the trail, that it's up here. There's a road right over here, and then the trail's beyond it. I'm way off, but I don't know. My GPS is probably the old map, and maybe they haven't done blazes on this new section. I feel like I'm on a trail, but I don't know. It's pretty grown in. That's not the way it has been. I don't know. I'm going to poke around and see what happens. See what I get for saying how well blazed it is? Alright, I'm back at the bridge where I got thrown off, and I think I figured out where to go, which is over there. I spotted a orange blaze. But down here, just a word of warning for anybody. There's a red blaze. There's a trail overlap around here. But that right there underneath that fishing sign is an orange blaze that I guess just means go over here. But the tricky thing is, over here... Uh-oh. Okay, I'm losing my mind. I'm totally losing my mind. I swear there was a blaze on the other side of the tree, which would indicate to me that this is... All right, never mind. Well, guys, maybe you don't need that warning. Apparently I do. All right, so other side of the bridge. We'll be following this road apparently for a little bit. Once again, the guidebook and the paper map saved me. Always nice to have multiple sources. Don't rely just on the GPS, which I usually do, which is why I was all confused until I remembered I had a map and a guidebook in my pocket. Oh, technology. All right, get me back into the woods here, please. All right, so we got the big elevation push out of the way, the last one for today. 1,000 feet. The nice thing about this loop, it's never more than 1,000 feet at a push, so that's cool. I mean, it's still some slogging, but it's not, it could be worse, put it that way. But at this point, we're just in this cool kind of fern area. Tons of chipmunks still, as I'm sure you can hear chirping along. Some woodpeckers and stuff like that. Some cool birds. And we're just kind of on a shelf right now. It's going mildly up and down a little bit. And we'll be traveling along this for a little bit. We're up to about 12-ish miles. No, I'm sorry. 10 and a half, going on 11 miles at this point. And then once this shelf ends, it's going to start dipping down. And that's around where the water is and where I hope to find camp. So just cruising, enjoying the ferns. Seems we've finally traded out the ferns for a little bit of a different vibe. Somewhere over 14 miles into this journey so far. A little bit of a change in the ecosystem, it feels, as we're moving along. Certainly a nice variety on this trail, that's for sure. And look, we even got a legit staircase here. And Orange Blaze down there. I guess we're crossing that road. We're coinciding with the county line trail for a little bit. See what this brings. Alright, I did read about this. There's a high water route. I read about that in the guidebook. Based on what I've seen so far, we will not need that. However, it should be noted, I also read in the guidebook that in a little bit here, pretty soon, the trail crosses water 17 times in like a mile. So the feet might be getting a little wet as we get to camp tonight. Speaking of which, there's a nice one right there, but I want to push a little more, and I was wrong back there. I'm not at 14 and a half miles. I'm more like 13.7 miles in, so I want to get up to at least 15 miles so that I can have a good jump on tomorrow. Although tomorrow I'll be starting a lot earlier than 10:30 or 11 o'clock or whatever it was today. We got this here. Black Forest Trail. That's us. Man, it's getting dark in here too. Overcast and tons of tree cover. That is for sure. Alright. A couple more miles or so. Alright, we are right around the area where, from looking at the topo map, I laid some waypoints for where I thought I wanted to camp. And I do believe I'm going to camp somewhere around here. I just don't know specifically where yet, but we'll figure it out. Just want to get away from the trail a bit, but not too far from the water, because that is convenient. And remember, I only have that 1 liter bottle, so it's going to be really nice just to fill up whenever I want without going too far. It's about 6:20 now, so if I find it within the next 15 minutes, it's pretty close to my target. I've been taking my time in certain spots and just enjoying myself and the surroundings, and then other times kind of picking up the pace and making up for time. So I'm happy with the way it's going. I want to ideally find somewhere, if possible. It's really dense around here. The whole Black Forest so far has been really. I'd like to find somewhere that's at least got a little bit of an opening to give me some more daylight, because it is still another couple hours before sunset, but it's already getting dark in here just because it's so dense. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to scout around and see what I can find. Let's do it. You know what? So I see this looks like definitely a camping area, because there's a fire pit there. Trail continues over there for the 800th time across the water. Now, I don't want to camp that close to the trail. We're at a, you know, semi-established site, whatever you want to call it. But it does look a little brighter over there. I wonder... Well, it's worth looking. We'll just go over here. See if maybe there's something a little further away but still close to the water. It's worth a shot, and I see some nice bright sunlight, which is nice. Well, I did say I wanted to do some stealth camping, and maybe what we're gonna do, which is good. Now, that looks kind of promising over there if I can get on the other side somehow. Let's see how steep this is. The only thing is, it does have some coniferous trees that are definitely making it dark back there, which kind of thwarts my idea for getting some light, but maybe we'll get a little residual through there. But nonetheless, it's near water. It's actually got its own little mini stream right there, which is even better. If I can get over, oh yeah, I can get over there. Oh, you know what? You know what this probably is? Kind of the danger of camping a little behind an established campsite. This might be where people go to answer nature's call. Don't think I'll be camping here. I think I'm gonna I think I'm gonna poke around a little bit more. I'm not gonna sleep in the bathroom here, but I'll find something. Just gotta keep at it. Alright, now this is a little better. I followed the stream down from where the trail turned and crossed. Just followed it down a little ways. We're definitely tucked away, and I think between this tree and that tree right there, I'm gonna sling up my hammock, throw it up real quick. Should be a good deal. Of course, at this point it is 7 o'clock. I have made some more progress on the trail because I've been just kind of walking it, scouting around. So I got that going for me, but it's gonna get dark quick. So I'm gonna get the pack off, set up real quick. Yeah, and I'm hungry. I can't wait for dinner. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I'm gonna focus on getting set up first. Nice thing about this pack, as I kind of went over on my gear video, it kind of opens up medic style. So the zippers go all the way down to the bottom of each side, and that allows me, almost like luggage, to open this guy all the way up. I got 2 internal pockets here, and then all my gear, try not to lose all my stuff, all my gear is right there. You see my food on top, got my tarp at the very top there, under quilt, top quilt, and my hammock down the bottom, some spare underwear, spare socks, and a long sleeve t-shirt, which in the video I did kind of a placeholder shirt. It was like a burnt orange shirt. I brought a camo one for this trip. I think it was in the laundry when I filmed the gear video, but very similar, same idea, just a synthetic long sleeve shirt to deal with the chill tonight and tomorrow morning. So here we go. I'll just unload the tarp. I'll deal with that first. I know if I can get the tarp up, well, actually it's not a problem at all. These trees are plenty wide, plenty of room. So we'll get the tarp up, and then my hammock, the Dutch Flare half-weight hammock with some whoopee hooks to suspend it, and we're good to go. Let's do it. All right, got the tarp up, got the hammock up, got my 30-degree underquilt on there. It is getting a bit chilly out here. What temp is it? 60 degrees, so I think it's just for me finally not moving. I've been warm all day, and I've never seen it above 60. But now that I stopped, put the long sleeve shirt on, which is nice, feels good. This here is a 30-degree quilt, like I said, and my top quilt is a 40. So even if it goes down to like 48, maybe 45, because I am close to the water, I'm not worried about that. And even if I get cold tonight, because I don't have anything underneath these hiking pants. It's really just my t-shirt, my long sleeve, and the hiking pants. If I get cold, I'll just hop in here and lounge, and I'll be plenty warm. I don't have a foot pad, or I should say a pad to put underneath my feet to keep them warm. I personally found that in weather like this, when it's in, no further down than the 40s, my feet don't get cold. In the winter, I do put a pad under my feet, because you can notice I have the 3/4 length underquilt. That cuts a decent amount of weight out, but it only gives coverage from, say, about shoulder to a little, maybe around calf area or something like that, depending how tall you are. But I should be good. Got my tarp up there. I will stake that down. I got the stakes in my pocket here somewhere. Little titanium stake action. Yeah, I guess I'll do that next, and make some dinner. Now, people who follow the channel, some of you may already know, because I know you've commented. I have been doing keto. I've been doing it for about 15 months now, which is like an ultra low carb diet. I don't want to disappoint anybody out there who follows me and enjoys me doing the keto along with me, but I am on keto right now, but I have been experimenting with doing a low carb, strict keto all day, and a couple times I tried doing a quote unquote regular meal at night. I think the first time I did it recently actually was my wife and I, for our wedding anniversary, we went out to dinner to have a nice meal, and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna go off tonight. But I'm gonna try, see what happens if I just go off tonight, and then tomorrow morning I'll test myself, see what happens. Well, remarkably, I actually got back into it the next day, no problem. So part of that is probably because I am pretty well adapted after 15 months of doing it pretty strictly. So what I'm going to do tonight is have a real, or I should say a regular backpacker meal. I got 2 with me for each night. So I'll be doing strict low carb during the day, which I have been, and then really carby backpacking meal. And we'll see what happens. I have some test strips. We'll see if I get back in tomorrow morning. Those of you who don't care about keto, you're bored to death. Sorry, I'll move on though to the dinner choices. An old standby of mine, chili mac and beef. Been eating this for years. I love it. And the other one I've never had, Mexican style rice and chicken. So I have to decide which one of these to have. And yeah, there are a ton of carbs in here, more than I would probably eat on a night even when I went off keto. So, and I've only done that a couple times. We'll see tomorrow if this actually works. On the upside, because of all those carbs, it probably will knock me out pretty good, which I need some rest. I am really tired. So I got up at 4 a.m. and I had about 3 hours of sleep. I couldn't fall asleep until like 1 o'clock. I guess I was excited for the trip. So I'm running on 3 hours of sleep. Got my 15 miles in. Gonna make some dinner. It's getting dark. And then we'll catch up in the morning, rejuvenated, and hit the trail once again for, I guess, another 15 miles. But for now, I'm gonna get the tarp spread out and cook some dinner. Good morning, everybody. Whew. I'm snug as a bug in a rug, but luckily I don't have any bugs on me, thanks to the little net on the half-wet hammock here. If you're not familiar with it, it just has enough bug net to kind of drape over you and lines right up with my top quilt, which I definitely needed. It's warming up now. It's about 7:15. Slept in a little bit, if you will, by hiking standards, I guess. But I needed the sleep. Like an hour or two ago, I did wake up, check the temp. The lowest I saw was 44, which is much colder than I thought I was going to do on this trip, as I've said before. But that's okay. I actually slept without this hat the whole night, but I probably should have had it on. But I was fine. I was comfortable because these quilts, honestly, perfectly fine for those temperatures. Top quilt's 40. I've pushed it down to 30 easily, and the bottom quilt I would be comfortable pushing down to 20. So no big deal. But I did wake up and I figured if I'm going to get out of this warm little cocoon, I might as well put the hat on so I'm not freezing too much. I think it's up to 47 now. 48. It's going up rapidly, which is nice. Feel pretty rested. Going to have a cup of coffee here in a minute. Some sort of breakfast, and then we'll pack up, which I don't have many items, so that shouldn't take too long, and we'll get on the trail. Compared to yesterday's late start, relatively late start, I should be well ahead of the game. There have been some moths and whatnot around attacking me at night, but once I got in here with the net, I was fine, so that was good. But I'm gonna get out of this thing and get some breakfast going. See, I took the insulator / bottle holder for my 1 liter water bottle. Makes a great little seat. I took it off last night and popped it up against that log over there. I had a nice little bench with an insulated seat. That was dual purpose benefit to that. You see my fancy bear bag. It's just simply a grocery shopping bag. Mine's actually from Lowe's because it's in stealthy gray instead of white. Fancy. But that was good enough for me, especially on a quick trip like this. It's actually inside there. I put anything that I could double bagged inside of a Ziploc gallon bag just to keep the scents down. Most of it is vacuum sealed, but for like my open snacks and stuff and wrappers, trash, double bagged in there. And then if it did rain, it would keep it even more dry. But that's where my coffee is, somewhere in there. So let's get it out. Get the stove out, which is in here too. My whole little cook kit. We'll get that going. Gonna spark up the stove. Esbit folding stove with, you guessed it, an Esbit cube. Just gonna light it up. Same thing I used last night to cook I ended up doing the macaroni and chili macaroni. There we go. Okay, put that in my little stuff set so I don't lose it. Got my coffee water here. So what I'm gonna do this morning, going back to the low carb kick, is some coffee with coconut oil, which is nice and solidified since it's about 48, maybe 49 degrees right now, right? That'll give me some nice calories, a little caffeine boost, and I'll just put a couple tablespoons in there. I got enough for like tomorrow morning as well. Just some foil to go on top of my, I want to say pot, but it's really a cup. It's just barely enough. 14.5 ounces, it's a 450 milliliter cup. It just barely holds enough for my meals. My chili mac and beef meal last night required 2 cups, so it was a little short of that. But usually I cut the water back on Mountain House meals anyway, so it ended up being perfect. I just filled this about as far as it went, brought it to a boil, dumped it in there. Dinner came out great. I speed up the cooking process and make it a little more efficient just by putting a piece of tin foil on here, which I always carry in my fire kit anyway. That's nice for like cooking and stuff. So let me get that on there before the flames start licking too high. I also brought with me some pre-portioned bags of this right here. It's called Keto Feed. It's basically, you can get the job done with a protein powder like that people would use after a workout. But this stuff is pretty much whey protein powder, but with 0 carbs and about 10 or 11 grams of fat per serving, which is pretty awesome. Add water right to the bag, shake it up, and drink it with a straw. That'll be my breakfast, and then I have some of these for I could use for lunch as well. So bring this to a boil. Get my dehydrated coffee in there. When you're out in the middle of the woods, trust me, a hot cup of any coffee tastes amazing. It's already starting to come to a simmer. The stove works pretty good. Acts as kind of a windscreen as well, so you can position it facing the wind. And then with Esbit, it's pretty easy to just blow it out afterwards, and then the unused portion, once it cools down of the cube, you can just bag it up and use it again. Had a little wildlife encounter last night. I think I just finished my chili mac and beef meal. I was just trying to kind of relax a little bit before I got in the hammock. Suddenly, something jumps over the log, lands inside my front pack, and is staring up at me. And it's a maybe a mouse, like about that big. It was staring up at me. I hopped up, and it didn't want to leave. It eventually jumped out of the bag, and then it hung out over here, was scurrying around. He really was a quite interested little critter. So for the rest of the night, I made sure, and this morning as well, to keep everything zipped up, because I don't need any problems. Blow that out. I'm actually all packed up. Camp, which is right behind you guys right there, well, it was. It's completely broken down. Broke down real quick and easy. And I gotta tell you, I'm really loving the simplicity of having everything I need in such a small pack like this, the GoRuck GR1. And the ability to open this guy all the way up and access all my gear, basically see all my gear in one top-down view is great. Whether I'm on the trail or at camp, it just makes it a lot easier to get what I need, put away what I need, organize, and then pack up and move out. Hot cup of joe, beautiful woods, sun's coming up over there. We'll be back on the trail in no time. A little bit of confusion to start my hike today. That is definitely an orange blaze. but 3/4 of the mile down from where I camped. And from looking at my topo map and where the trail went, it appeared that this morning I should be immediately heading uphill. But there's orange blazes, so I've been following them because orange means Black Forest Trail. But at this point, it just started not feeling right. And I compared the topo on my GPS to the map again. Right around somewhere in here where there's actually a campsite marker is where we stealth camped. I was expecting to start cutting uphill, but the orange blazes led me down here. And that just doesn't make sense. I started feeling like I was going towards this road. I don't want that at all. The track that I have on my GPS that's supposed to be the Black Forest Trail corresponds with this as well and goes up on this plateau, which is what I'm after. So I got to backtrack. Well, I recognize those double blazes. We're pretty much back in the area that I originally thought was going to be my first night camp. So not only have I backtracked now, but I've lost some mileage compared to where I stopped yesterday. I don't know. I can tell from looking at my GPS's topo compared to my map's topo. I have a Black Forest Trail track on my GPS that cuts up the hill, just like on the paper map. The orange blazes around here are not doing that. They're going towards what it looks to me, the road. At this point, I'm losing a lot of time. It's 10:30, so we're on track. Even if I find the trail within the next half hour, we're going to have about the same start as I did yesterday, which is okay, but it also means another late arrival at camp. I don't know what else to do now. Some of you are probably shouting at the screen, just follow the orange blazes. They mean the Black Forest Trail. That's what I'm going to do. My map's 3 years old. It's possible there was a reroute, but that seems like a pretty major reroute. And going up on the ridge seems like a pretty prominent part of the loop, so I don't get it. That's okay though. Maybe, probably as usual, I'll figure out that I'm just confused. But or I'm going to end up at another trail and we'll just make this work. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's where I'm at. It's a little confusing. Now, right now, it's saying I'm on the red and orange trail at the same time. Then every once in a while, it switches back to just red blazes, and then sometimes just orange blazes. Maybe somebody else can learn from this. We'll see what happens. But I'm gonna follow these orange blazes away from the ridge. Apparently, I'll keep an eye out and see if I see anything that I might have missed on the way back. All right. I wonder if this is the culprit. Here, the trail splits. That says orange, turn. It's down there. So I assumed last time, and I'm still assuming, that means the trail, Black Forest Trail goes down there. Right down in there is a campsite and where I originally showed you guys the map and realized I think something's wrong. I'm going to go down there and check it out again, but I don't know if maybe they're telling me to go that. I don't know. This is all just weird. Or who knows, maybe down here is where it cuts off to the left and I'll be looking like a fool in one of these videos once again. I'd rather have that and actually get where I need to go though. Oh shoot. Yep. See that there? That's a double blaze faintly on that tree. Well, I'm saying faintly to make myself feel better. Right over there is where I put the map down and decided to backtrack. I walked past this all the way down to there. And once I got way down there, that's when things started not feeling correct. And that's because apparently I should have turned. So somewhere over here towards the elevation, oh man, I turned around right where virtually I should have gone. So topographically I was pretty much correct. I just didn't give enough look around for the double blaze. So where's it go now? Oh, I see an orange blaze over there. So we're crossing this thing. Now I've been crossing back and forth over the same streams all morning, so I'm not worried about it right now. My feet are about as wet as you can get, and I got 15 miles of hiking to do, so I'm pretty sure they'll be dry by tonight. We're back on track. We got a little exercise, and we're going uphill. That's what I want. I will be taking note though for the rest of this trip. The GPS data I downloaded, I found online, somebody posted. It's been pretty accurate so far, but it was way off on this one. It said this ridge breakoff was basically down where I was looking at that double blaze, which is totally incorrect. If you're looking for a GPS track, maybe use mine, but just ignore all my wrong turns this morning and just jump right onto this ridge. Gotta get back up to, I think, around 2,000 feet. Here we go. This way, somehow. Oh, there we go. That looks a little better. Definitely getting scrambly. Back to the ferns. Not too long after the ferns, we got ourselves a trail sign. Black Forest Trail, we're going to keep going that way. Blackberry Trail, it's apparently down there. Well, let's keep on moving here. Oh wow, look at this. I think we got a major opening here and a ton of green. Probably the most openness I've had yet. I imagine this is probably a little rough in wetter times. Whoa. Whoa. You okay, buddy? Whew. Oh, that startled me. Some sort of large bird. I think he's injured. He can't fly. Oh, no, he can fly. Why didn't you fly? Oh my God. Right on the trail. It kept yelling at me, but not flying. Not aggressively, like scared. Woo! I thought it was a turkey at first. In retrospect, it's not as big as a turkey. But I don't know what that was, and I couldn't get it on film. I'll probably never know. We'll see. I think his wings were messed up or something. He just fluttered that one time. But he was right at my feet just doing circles. Scared the crap out of each other. Sorry, hope you feel better. Whew. Alright, well, I'm awake now. Actually, the more I think about it, I guess she might have been protecting a nest or something. Might explain why she was kind of coming at me and not really leaving. So maybe she could fly, but she was not willing to leave a nest or something. Very interesting experience. All right. Never thought I'd see it, but we are up to 73 degrees. Forgot what it was like to be warm. Well, it was warm all yesterday from hiking, but it was only 58, 60 all day. So, skies are relatively clear. We're in the 70s. Not bad. Moving along, making some miles. I guess we're around 5-ish now. We got some ground to cover, that's for sure. I am contemplating possibly shortening today a little bit if I find an appropriate camp spot that gives me some time at camp. And then tomorrow, waking up pretty early, maybe when it's still dark, packing up super quick, maybe not even eating breakfast right away or coffee or anything, and just hitting the trail immediately. And just really kind of gun it. Enjoy myself, but time-wise, really kind of put the hammer down a little bit, because today was a late start, so was yesterday. So maybe we'll do that, shift some of the miles towards tomorrow, and then I'll go get a nice post-hike burger somewhere and make the ride home. But that's not till tomorrow. For now, we get to enjoy this trail. I'm digging it. We're kicking it classic style. Solo backpacking, high mileage, good views. I can't complain about that. Oh, what do we got here? Besides flowing water, of course, which I'll be partaking in. A little structure of sorts. Interesting. Let's check it out. So this is actually an old pump house back from the 1880s. They used to have an oil pipeline of sorts around here, and this pump house would provide water to cool down the engines for pumping the oil. Pretty cool. Still standing, right? Of course, I'm just going to be using this area to get some water to cool myself down, but pretty interesting history. Alright, I hear a little bit of road noise, and I see the poles to what looks like it's probably a gate. So I'm thinking, probably coming up on a little glimpse of humanity, a little road crossing. I guess we're around 8-ish miles. It's hard to tell, but quickly now at least, from glancing at my GPS, because I did so much kind of meandering around this morning and whatnot. But 8-ish, if I look at the map, I could definitely figure out where I am based on this road. But moving along, it is 2:30, is what it is. But having a good time. Speaking of humanity, I almost mentioned earlier that I haven't seen a soul this whole time on this trip, but I finally did. I don't know, it was a little while before I got to that pump house. I saw a couple taking a break, so that's the only two people, the only hiking party that I've seen the whole time. Now, I haven't mentioned, I'm up here Wednesday through Friday, so that usually helps. If I'm able to get out and do a trip that's not on a weekend, I always take that opportunity, obviously. And that's what I got going on here. So the most people I'll probably see is maybe people doing 3-day weekends tomorrow, which will be Friday. Got a very, very steep descent as we come down off of that dirt road up there. Now I'm happy to get a break from the uphill. Obviously this is a lot less calorie expenditure and quad burn, but not necessarily going any faster than I would be if I had to trudge uphill, just because got some loose gravel and rocks and leaves. Don't want to really bust myself up here. Seems to be getting a little less aggressive as we get into the good old return to the ferns. Back to the uphill as we hike away from that water down there. From looking at the map and where we are, probably about 4 more miles. That'll give me my 15 miles for today. Granted, it is 4:40, but really, more I think about it, don't want tomorrow to be too involved, because I do have a 4-hour drive home, and like to do some things when I get home. Most notably, watch Survivor reruns with my wife, but I'm looking forward to that. So a lot of times I get home late at night when she's already in bed, especially if I'm driving somewhere like 9-10 hours away. But this is only 4 hours, so I should be able to make it work. But that means I got to get my miles in today. Whew. But we're getting there. 4 miles to go. Alright, we got blazes. And we got one more final, well, for today at least, pretty steep and rocky incline here. And then up here should be the top of Hammock Mountain. And then it dips down. I lose something like over 500 feet, maybe 700 feet over the course of a mile. Pretty severe downhill after this. But after that, we should finally be at camp for today. Oh wow, check this campsite out. I'll just wait for it. Yep. Got a nice view down on Pine Creek. And a whole just line of mountains. That is amazing. Now, unfortunately, and obviously, there is no water. This is a dry campsite for sure. So that's not going to work for me. But for somebody planning ahead, you bring enough water up here, this would be awesome. So I would definitely be GPS tagging this. Now, like I kind of mentioned earlier, if it's close to the trail, like right on the trail, which this one kind of is, maybe I won't tag it. But there's been some awesome ones, and this is so secluded out here. I'm going to leave that up to you guys. I've been tagging a whole bunch of stuff, waypoints on my GPS data, so I'll throw this one on there too. I would love to come back here with friends, and maybe one of those other intersecting trails around here could bring you here, obviously with a lot less mileage than I had to do to get here. Pretty cool. So at this point it's flattened out up here. I'm thinking the elevation drop should come soon. Well, I made it. Got a nice campsite. I am off the trail. Now I know what some of you are probably thinking or saying right now. Yeah, you're sitting on a rock chair in front of a fire pit. Doesn't look too stealthy to me. Looks like an established site. Yeah, this is an unofficial but obviously used before site. But I got water nearby. I did my stealthy hike last night. I would like to do that again. But I would also like a little more to just finally stop hiking. I did hit the little over 15, maybe 15 and a half miles, actual trail miles. People have hiked a lot more than that, but this guy is ready to relax. So I saw that it started to flatten out along the water here. Made my way down, found this gem of a spot, and I'm gonna take it. Got my hammock set up back there, just like last night. I'm ready to go. It's also nice because it's a little cooler down here. The bugs have been driving me nuts today, or doing their best to at least. They've really been out. Down here by the water, it's a bit cooler, and like I said, I don't notice as many bugs, although ironically one's right in front of my eyeball right now. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. I'm gonna have some coffee right now because tomorrow morning I've definitely decided I'm gonna get up early, hit the trail right away. So since I'm not having coffee tomorrow and I desperately need some calories, I burned a lot today, I'm gonna make some coconut coffee now as kind of a pre-dinner appetizer. Get some calories in me, be a nice relaxing cup of coffee, look at the sights. I got the lovely stream right next to me. And then dinner tonight, I'm going with the Mexican style rice and chicken. And I got some hot sauce packets, like little fast food guys. For my keto viewers who are interested, I did test myself twice today. Once midday and once very recently, within the last half hour. I am positive for ketones, so I'm good to go. Although I'm about to ruin that pretty soon with this here, but my cyclical keto plan seems to be working. And that's not something I do at home, except for on special occasions, but for backpacking, it seems to be working pretty well. And it'll be nice when I go out on future trips with friends, because there's a lot of fun backpacking food that we do, just kind of socially. So at least I know I can pull that off. That's good. So I'm gonna have my coffee, my dinner. I do feel a couple raindrops here and there, although the skies look pretty nice. So I'll deploy the tarp pretty soon too. If I have to go eat under the tarp, I will. Although that would be kind of ironic, because tonight I have this really nice chair here with my insulator to sit on. I should be doing that now. And I'm just going to relax, soak it in. What time is it? 7:50, believe it or not. And it's dropped down to 63 degrees since I came down here towards the water, so that's nice. Maybe we'll get into the 50s. I actually enjoyed that last night. It was nice and cool. I got plenty of quilts to keep me warm. So I'm going to add this dehydrated coffee and get my coconut coffee ready. Oh, also anybody interested, keto-wise or whatever, what I've been eating since breakfast that you saw this morning. Basically, fatty meats, beef snacks like that. You just got to watch out because they do tend to sneak a lot of corn syrup into, well, anything nowadays. So I've been eating stuff like that, as well as peanuts. I do usually gravitate towards almonds. They're a nice low-carb nut. But it's just what I happen to grab, I think, at a gas station on the way up. Just a bag of peanuts. All right, well, coffee time for me, little dinner, little podcast or an audio book, hanging in the hammock over there. living the dream, having a good day. And then we'll link up in the morning and hit the trail hard. Good morning, everybody. Whew. I had a good night. A couple wildlife encounters already this morning. Left camp, set my alarm for 5:30. To be honest, I snoozed it 3 times, so I got up at 6 a.m., but I was packed up and ready to go by 6:45. So that was awesome. Hit the trail within, I'd say, the first 5 minutes. I ran right smack into a bear. We came face to face on the trail. If you're wondering if I have footage, I don't. I was actually, to save time, I was putting my camera rig together as I was walking. I look up, and then over the crest, here we are, is a bear. I was like, wow. He looks at me, I look at him, and he was just using the trail, obviously. He just cut over. He wanted to avoid me, that's for sure. Black bears almost always do, but he didn't run like a lot of them do, so it was kind of cool. I got to watch him more. He kind of went up, and then there's a connecting yellow blaze trail that I'm pretty sure he was headed for that was beyond me that cut left. Because then once he got up maybe 50 yards away at the most or something like that, he started just cutting parallel to the trail, and I got to watch him go all the way down and then link up with the yellow trail. So that was a fun way to start the day, and he was a pretty big black bear. It was awesome. At this point, I am like 1.8, closing in on 2 miles in. It's 8 o'clock now. After the bear encounter, I probably didn't really get moving till closer to 7. So about an hour in, and we've already racked on 900 and something feet of elevation gain. It has been straight up, so I'm pretty beat up. I'm gonna have a water break here. I got a full liter from camp, and it probably, I guess it'll be around 12 miles today. Oh, that's good. My food is down to about bare minimum. I have a meat stick, I'm out of peanuts, and I got my Keto Feed protein powder I haven't had yet. Mostly I'm just fantasizing about something flame broiled, near and dear to my heart, a cheeseburger. No fries. No, I think instead of fries, I'll substitute it for, what should I do? A second cheeseburger. I'm torturing myself right now. All right, let's go. Oh, what we got here? White Birch Vista. I do believe I read that there was a forest fire around here, a pretty substantial one, in the early 1900s. Wiped out a bunch of stuff. And white birch is a species that tends to pop up more easily, while most other trees never were able to come back. And there are still some areas around here that nothing came back at all because the soil was so messed up. But let's see if that's what this is. These white birches. Oh, okay. Well, maybe that's not quite what it is. I think it may actually be just that it's a vista with 2 white birches. It's still a cool view. All right. Well, back to the trail. At least it was a short walk. We have had some pretty severe loss of elevation after some pretty severe gain of elevation, and lots of loose rock on the trail. Definitely making things pretty tricky and slow going. But there are some bursts, as is par for the course it seems on this trail, of flat grassy areas to kind of go faster. I hear some water down here. I'm about down to a little less than 1/4 of a liter right now, so I'm looking forward to that. Stay hydrated, and I think a couple more up and downs, and then we'll be back to some low-lying area, and eventually back to Naval Run Road and the Jeep, my transportation device to get me a tasty burger. Whew. It has been some brutal up and downs, but at this point I believe it is the end of the uphills. At least I just have one more downhill section to get me back to the parking area. And this sun is out. I feel like it's the most sun I've gotten on this trip so far. It is what is it, 78 degrees. Combined with my uphill hiking, it is quite warm. But you know what else is warm? Melted cheese. This looks like a pretty cool spot right here. Rocky, but pretty cool. The views over there, all the way wrapping around. We just got to get down there. Not exactly there, but basically we're almost there. Almost. Well, I've certainly made my share of mistakes on this trip, haven't I? See how I'm on a road right now? I was just supposed to cross the road apparently, but since I didn't see any orange blazes, I just turned right, saw the trail was next to me, figured I screwed up, and started walking down the road. At this point, I've walked too far to make it worth my while to turn around, so that's okay. We'll just continue on in this direction. Anyway, just keep that in mind if you're following along with my GPS data. Take the trail that parallels my track, which is actually this road. I will get to the same spot. It's all going to be good. Now I'm starting to wonder that Wolfe's General Store that I was talking about in the beginning, that sold a bunch of, you know, cool hiking stuff and a lot of fishing gear in there too, because fishing is huge around here. I saw a little flat top grill in there. It looked like they serve food. I don't know if there's tables to sit down, but that doesn't bother me. I wonder if they serve flame broiled goodness. I guess I can ponder that over the course of the next mile or two. Well, we made it back to the Jeep, back to the parking lot, back to civilization. I also noticed on the walk-in, I totally forgot, right by the trailhead is a motel with a little restaurant, bar and grill with some outdoor seating, it looks like. So that's an option for my post-hike meal. But yeah, there you go, pulled it off, the Black Forest Trail, Pennsylvania, 43 miles. Good views and rugged trails. It definitely kicked my butt. It was, for Pennsylvania, probably the toughest trail I've done in PA, I think, as far as sustained, just over and over again, elevation changes. But it was awesome. I really enjoyed it. Again, remember, if you want GPS data, if that's of use to you, you can find that on my website. I'll put a link in the video description. Also, for anybody out there that enjoys these trip videos and you would like a way to support future ones, all you got to do next time you're going to do some shopping, just go to syntax77.com/Amazon or bookmark the little link up here in the corner of my video, and Amazon will kick a small percentage of whatever you spend towards the next adventure. Other than that, I think that pretty much sums it up, other than the fact that I am starving, have not eaten much today, so I'm going to go take care of that probably right over there. Till next time, I'm Syntax77, and right now, it's cheeseburger time.